Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today I welcome a special guest. It's everyone's favorite radio and DJ, Jeff Tucker. How you doing today, brother?
What's up, man? I'm great, Brian. Man, it's good to meet you in face to face and all, you know.
Yep, it's the beauty of technology these days.
Yeah, man, we can talk from wherever. Where are you even at?
I'm actually up north in Pittsburgh, PA, actually.
Okay, I thought that was right. Yeah.
Actually, where are you from? Because are you one of them Texas boys?
No, I'm in South Georgia, man. I'm about 1 hour from Tallahassee, Florida. So extreme South Georgia.
The deep south, as we like
Yeah,
to say.
yeah, the deep South, man.
We say with pride. Done deal.
That's right.
Can we get a little Macho Man sort of action right there? So
Get some of that. Yeah.
little Spartan workout and all that. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Where are you from? All right. So where are you from? I guess how you been recently? What's new?
I've been good, man. It's not a lot, bro. Not a lot, man. I'm in the process of closing down Front Row Radio currently, but I'm gonna move my show to another station and help a friend out. So the show will live on, but the radio station will go away pretty soon. The end of the year, December the 31st.
Because what was the issue? I guess just time management.
Well, yes, time management. My show does good, man. I get a lot of support from my show, but the station in general just, I only have one show that is live going on there, and so I do a good following on that show. But the rest of the week, there's nothing happening, so the station's just kind of like my personal set list, more or less, and business, it just doesn't make good sense to keep going with it. So I'd rather go help somebody else and hopefully bring my following to another place, and maybe they can get the ad revenue. I'm not breaking even on it, which is not a big deal, but at the same time, you want to have people listening.
It's the main job that pays the bills. So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, well, it's like that with everybody in the indie music industry right now. Anyway, nobody's really making a good killing here. We're all just doing what we love, man. So
Absolutely. So I guess what's this other station you're going to go join? This friend of yours?
it's a secret right now, man. I can't really tell yet. I mean, I might drop a hint in a little while, but yeah, I can't really tell yet. So
I guess how'd you meet this friend of yours? Just for
yeah,
just in terms of spoiling.
We actually met through radio, so that's pretty cool. Music, man. Music brings a lot of people together, and so we met through music and radio. Yep.
I say music was our therapist. So yeah.
Yeah. And I would tell who it was, but then that would give away everything. So I got to be secretive until the end of the year. So
Mum's the word.
yeah, we're trying to big publicity stunt, man. You know what I mean? We're trying to build up some interest, and hopefully people will follow us over.
And it's cue the drum roll.
That's
There we go.
right. Hold on, I probably got some sticks somewhere. Hold on, look. Here we go.
Here.
Some sign sticks, probably.
Side six? Actually, who signed those?
Let's see. I have some signed by a band called Sweet Meteor of Death, and I have some signed by Everfelt. I don't know if you know those guys, but
Doesn't ring any bells. I guess they local boys of yours.
well, Sweet Meteor of Death they're from Atlanta, but Everfelt is actually Southern Illinois. I think they're mid-Southern Illinois. So I support local bands from all over. The world's my local.
The world is our sphere of influence. We probably should
That's
say.
exactly right. Yeah.
That's good to hear. All right, so this is going to be interesting because usually I've always brought on musicians right here too, but I think you're one of my first DJ and radio hosts I've actually brought on here. So
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's actually cool because I mean, without some radio play, the musicians wouldn't really have. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool. I noticed that you interviewed some of the guys that I play. I was looking through your podcast and like MX the American and stuff like that, man. Yeah, very cool.
yeah, theirs actually came out recently on my Spotify channel. So
I just saw that. Yeah.
I'm actually curious how many views they got. So I'll have to go check that out after we're done here. So
There you go. Yeah, I saw it popped up and I said, well, hell, I know them. He's actually based in Virginia and Atlanta, I think, or something like that. So
West Virginia, to be more specific.
West Virginia, yeah, and he kind of calls himself West Virginia Atlanta or whatever. But yeah, see, it's cool, man. We're in the same circuit. You don't really never know, man.
I would say my heart is also in Georgia too, because actually my cousin's got a house close to like Lake Oconee over in there.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's a beautiful area. Yeah.
And I would say Savannah was pretty nice too. So
Yeah. Where I'm at is just cowfields, man. But
we call that the sticks. Yeah.
yeah, we're out in the BFE,
BFE.
bumfuck Egypt.
No. Oh my God.
I don't know if I was supposed to have dropped any bombs, but
No, you're good. Actually, it's First Amendment rights. We'll make it work.
Yeah.
Actually, I said we'll just do beeps every time you want to say a swear word or something.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, my bad.
You're good. So we'll roll with it. So, but Jeff, nonetheless, welcome to my podcast here, mate. And the way it's going to work is let's get to know you more, both as the radio host, but also as the individual as well here too. So, are you ready?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
He was born ready. So,
Born ready, man. Born.
all right. So I guess I'll start at the beginning right here too. So I guess who are you, and how did you become a radio host here?
Okay, so my name's Jeff Tucker, man. I call myself Jeff T. That's my little stage name or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. I was a bodybuilder first, and I started hanging out at a brewery, and they had a radio station inside, and met some cool people that were DJs on this radio station, and they invited me in, and hey, bro, you're like cool, and I don't know. It turned into eventually I had a show, and now I've got my own station and everything. So it's been about a little over 3 year ride so far. So.
I guess we're into the CrossFit sort of gym right there, or are you kind of going a little deeper?
I'm more of a bodybuilder type lifter. I'm getting into more of the CrossFit stuff, I guess, some obstacle course racing and stuff like that. But more or less, I was always trying to get bigger, man.
I was saying, explain the guns you got going right there.
Yeah, I was blessed with some genetics too. My dad was kind of a big guy, so
Oh, really?
I had a good base. Yeah.
I was like, we don't need no guns. These are the only guns you need.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, this is my Second Amendment right here, baby.
Yeah, man, I got it.
That's for sure. So, I guess what was this radio station that you just happened to cross by one day? Were they just talking about bodybuilding, some sort of podcast?
No, it was actually it's actually a music station. It was just it's hard to explain. I like to hang out at breweries, microbreweries, or whatever. And I've been hanging out there for a while, and they had a radio station that was in there that was a terrestrial station actually, and it was called Pretoria Fields Brewery, and they had Pretoria Fields Radio, and it after a little while it became an internet streaming only station, and yeah, I met those guys and hanging out at the brewery, which is why I hang out at breweries. I like to meet people, and you drink a few beers and listen to some music, and then you meet people, and next thing you know, you're doing radio. I had no clue, man, that it would happen like that, but it did.
Just happened to jump right into it? You're totally self-taught,
Yeah,
never
well,
went to taking classes?
Yeah, no classes or anything. They just brought me in and just wanted to talk to me a couple of times about being at the brewery and about the music that we were listening to out. There was a band there or whatever, and I guess they thought I was cool. So the next Thursday when I was back, they said, "Hey man, he's back. Come back in. Let's do another segment." So I did that a few times, and after a little while, they were like, "Hey man, why don't you do a show? We could use another DJ here." And by then I had learned a little bit about it being in there with them. So here I am.
I was say you jumped up from the interview process all the way up to the hiring process just like that.
Just pretty quick, man. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It took them a couple of months to talk me into actually taking and doing a show. I was a little nervous about it to start with, and eventually I was like, okay. And then they were like, "Well, what's your show going to be about?" And I'm like, "Shit, I don't know. I never thought about that." Yeah. And so I took the tact of I'm a bodybuilder. I work out in the gym a lot. So I said, well, why don't I bring the gym to the radio? You know what I mean? The set list that I normally listen to in the gym, why don't I do that as a radio show? And so that was kind of my tact. That's why it's called the Tuesday Pump Session. I work out every day of the week. Tuesday's the one day of the week where I skip the gym and bring y'all my set list.
I'm going to say, because we're pretty miserable on Monday right there, so we call it Misery Monday. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't mind. I work out. Now I'm not quite as heavy. I do about 4 days a week now, but back then I was doing 5 and 6. And they say Tuesday was the only day that I was skipping the gym, and that was just to do radio.
And on the 7th day, he rests. So,
Yes, that's it. We bring you the music.
Yeah. So I guess where'd you get the name? What was it? Front Row Radio. And then I guess you have the Tuesday Pump Session, yeah.
Yeah, so Front Row Radio, actually, I guess when I founded it with a friend, and we decided that we wanted to put people on the front row with some of these local bands, so we just thought that was a great name, like a lot of people, you don't get a chance to hear. Just for instance, I'm trying to think of somebody that I play in Pennsylvania from where you're from. You're in Pittsburgh, right?
You're right, yeah.
Let me think who I play from up there. I play Eden on Fire. Let's see. I play some bands from up that way, but yeah. So somebody in Seattle, Washington may never get a chance to see them or even hear them or know they exist, right? So the idea was we're going to put people in Seattle and Germany and Sweden and wherever they're at on the front row where they can catch a little bit of Amy and Eden on Fire.
Actually based out of Erie, PA.
Yeah, they're Erie, but yeah, see, look right there. There's one of their CDs right there, all signed up. Look.
That'll be.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I actually did interview him not too long ago, and actually I'm trying to remember. I got everyone's scheduled on different dates right now. I do 3 days a week on my YouTube channel, so I got to find out when Eat on Fire is coming out on the YouTube channel. But I think they're out now on my Spotify page. So
okay, well, cool, yeah, and they're cool people too, man. And it's good what you're doing, what I'm doing. It's good to get them out, man, and get them to some more ears and let people learn a little something about them, man.
That's for sure. So,
yes.
So did your parents ever try to get you to play like an instrument? I know you say you're not a musician, but I guess did you try to pick up an instrument at some point?
I actually have an electric guitar, and I can pick a little bit on there, man. But I never really picked it up, to really do it. But I've had some guitars pretty much since I was a kid. I just never could pick it up. I can play a few songs here and there. Like I say, I didn't practice enough, I guess. I was more outdoorsy and sportsy and that kind of deal. So I invested my time there instead of in music.
I did ask, does the devil come down to Georgia every now and again?
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, came across Jeff play that fiddle hard, and he says, "Boy, let me tell you what." So yeah,
that's right.
So I took out the violin there, Jeff. So
yeah. I mean, a little fiddle action there, but.
But if you lose, the devil gets your soul.
That's right. Yeah, man.
Actually, I do love the Guitar Hero version of that song. Obviously, it's more of the whole heavy metal sort of guitar style there instead of typical.
That's right. For sure.
That's cool. So, I guess, did you ever look to maybe see how other radio DJs kind of did? Like maybe their style, like in terms of doing the radio, for instance? Because I know about Billy Morrison on Ozzy's Boneyard.
Yeah, and so I've got a friend that actually does a segment on Ozzy's Boneyard sometimes. He's a musician from Lee County. His band's called Last Days. He does a segment on Ozzy's Boneyard occasionally. I guess I didn't really. I mean, just I grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and back then there was like old school DJs. You know what I'm saying? So I remember listening to DJs like Wolfman Jack and stuff like that. These guys were doing radio shout outs and and those times have kind of fallen away and went away, and I kind of decided that I kind of wanted to try to bring some of that back, and I don't know, I've just always been eclectic in my music taste, so that's why I kind of play indie music. I play indie artists. I don't know, the mainstream stuff gets a ton of radio play, man. You can hear it anywhere, so I don't know, my taste is different, I guess. So I just started playing indie bands. That's kind of what I listen to, and that's kind of what I play, and it's worked out for me. It's worked well, actually.
I'll say, yeah. Actually, I was curious though too. I wasn't sure if there was any research or whether it was just simply by instinct. So
yeah, it was just instinct, man. I mean, just the kind of stuff that I normally listen to, and I didn't really put that together that they were independent artists until I started doing a radio show, and people were like, "Well, who is this band?" And they'd never heard of them, but I listened to them all the time, kind of like on YouTube Music or wherever I listen to my music. Not trying to advertise for anybody, but yeah, and they were always in my playlist there, and that's just the kind of music I listen to. So I just kind of started picking them up, and now I'm got so many of them in my orbit. It's crazy, man. I just people from all over the world. I play music from bands from everywhere, man. Australia, Germany. Yeah, just all over the place.
You got more indie bands than Jupiter has moons, so yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. Hundreds, it's in the hundreds and hundreds, so.
That's for sure. I guess, how did you get into indie music? Because it always seems like mom and dad introduced you to those classics, like the 50s and then the classic rock. So I guess, how'd you get the indie music? It's hard to, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I use YouTube Music app is what I normally use. I used Pandora some too. I never took to Spotify much, but
the YouTube Music app. I just set it up, and when I heard something I liked, I thumbed it, and I kept thumbing these things, and it just turned out that a lot of it was indie artists, and my playlist got full of that, And so I started reaching out to some of them to send me music so I could play it on the radio, and here we are.
I see. I guess when you started getting into radio too, was this like before or after COVID?
It was actually it was right after COVID, I would say, because everything was kind of shut down during COVID. So that brewery was unable to do anything. It was actually probably pretty quick right after COVID, after stuff started reopening. Everybody wanted to get out and do things. And so I started going back to the brewery there, and realized that the radio station had closed and became an internet streaming only, and met all these cool people that were doing radio there. And here we are.
I guess jumping into that question right now, I guess how bad was COVID for you personally, family, and then I guess if you want to throw anything else radio-wise, go ahead.
Of course it was weird times for everybody, man, but, for me personally, it didn't really affect my work, my full-time work. It didn't affect it much. I was, I guess, considered necessary or whatever, so we didn't work in a factory. We were construction. I do HVAC. I'm an HVAC service tech. So you had to still do that stuff. I was, like everybody, of course, scared in the beginning. We were scared of that thing or whatever, but I worked right through it, man. It was like nothing for us, so radio and stuff, I guess, continued. I was able to listen to radio. Of course, YouTube is what I always listen to, so I was able to keep listening. I don't guess it really affected me too terribly. I know we've gotten a lot of good music out of it. I can tell you that, because everybody was holed up and making music.
I guess, did you get sick with COVID at all? Were you and your family okay?
Yeah, no, I knew people that did, and I knew people that died, of course. And if I ever had it, I don't know that.
I worked it to death, or I worked it out to death in terms of like bench pressing and all that stuff. Or gym workouts.
And I did that as soon as and our gyms didn't close until later. They finally did close, and then they would only let 5 or 6 people in. But I was working out through the whole thing. I never, as long as I could, I was still going to the gym. And I stayed in the gym and killed it for those 2 years. That year and a half, whatever it was.
Yeah, there are times. Though I will say the best benefit of it was nap time whenever working from home. Snuck it in during lunch break, yeah. So
yeah, a lot of people were still working from home from that too. So I think there was some good things that come out of it. But like I say, a lot of great music, a lot of work from home jobs. A lot of businesses figured out that people can work from home, and there's no sense in paying for a storefront or something when you could just do it remotely or whatever. I kind of like that part of it, but we learned a lot.
That's for sure. And on a serious note, good to see you and your family are doing well there. And sorry for any losses that happened along the way.
Yeah. No, we did well. I think we were okay. Yeah, we did well compared to a lot. So yeah, no complaints from me, except for the weirdness, man. Of course, it was all weird,
Yeah, I think we would have said it was almost like the zombie apocalypse is upon us now.
Yeah, well, I wake up one day and wondering if everybody's going to die. You know what I mean, kind of thing. Are we all going to die? Is this the super flu? Is whatever. I was nightmares of The Stand, the Stephen King movie, The Stand, or whatever.
I'm trying to think. I don't think that was how Night of the Living Dead went, or I'm just trying to think of zombie apocalypse sort of moments there.
Yeah, maybe 28 days later, some of those like that were, some illness befell the world and everybody died, and you're in a coma in the hospital and you wake up and you're the only person alive or something. Yeah.
Actually, that'd be The Walking Dead then. So
yeah, or that too. Yeah, they kind of copied the Walking Dead, kind of stole that, I think, from 28 Days Later or something, maybe. But yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do. So
maybe they stole it from one another. I don't know. One of them's a classic, a graphic novel. So I don't know which came first. But
it'll be a thief. So yeah.
Yeah. Nothing's hardly original anymore. Everything's been done. So you're kind of rehashing everything nowadays, I think.
Remaking old Disney classics into live action.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Heck, Wizard of Oz is being remade. Et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Finding new spins on it. You just can't, even music, there's only so many riffs on a guitar, right? So, eventually they're going to get redone. It's got to. There's only so many ways you can do it. So
we push the boundaries. That's our deal.
Yeah, that's it. You just got to do something new, do some pushing, do some, Yeah, that's a funny thing about music is, yeah, I mean, how do you keep making new music when there's only so many riffs and so many notes? You know what I'm saying? I mean, eventually I'm, I guess we have seen a lot of lawsuits on that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I don't know if you can keep suing people because eventually you just run out of music, you know?
It's like the South Park moment right there. We're gonna sue your ass and your balls. Or that's
And, yeah, that's right. Yes.
yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I guess in the music scene, I don't know how big your town is, or I guess also in Tallahassee. I guess you say you're
Yeah.
about an hour outside Tallahassee. I guess how's the music scene been in your neck of the woods, and I guess any cities and other towns you frequented?
Yeah, so where I live is not, I live in a really rural area, so I have to kind of drive. I'm an hour to 5 hour trip to anywhere where there's good music. I mean, so Jacksonville has a lot of big bands. I can go see in Jacksonville and be there in about 3 hours. Atlanta is about 3 hours, so I can be there. I normally go either Tallahassee or Albany. There's a pretty lively, so I'm a rock fan, really, you know, and I like heavier music actually too. So for my area, this is a country area, so most music that's happening live around me is going to be country or Americana type of stuff, bluegrass even. And look, I'm not against it on this. I'll go see some of that music too, but I want to see rock shows, you know, so I have to go to Tallahassee and places like that. But yeah, it's there's a lively scene. There's a pretty good rock scene in Tallahassee. There's a blooming scene in Albany, Georgia, which is about an hour away. But yeah, I have to drive about an hour to see anything worth, you know, any rock music or anything. Yeah.
Think of all the horns you're going to be waving at
Yeah,
these
man.
festivals.
Yeah. If I'm gonna get into if I'm gonna get into a mosh pit, man, I got to drive an hour or two. You know.
Well, I got to think you're probably from the University of Texas right then. And
Oh yeah,
if
we
you're,
can't. Yeah, we can't pick on them too bad, man. This Georgia kicked their butt the other day. Huh?
I was going to ask, did you watch that game?
I did. Yeah, I was at the gym and caught some of it at the gym, and then it went into overtime, and I had to leave. I was on my way home, and I kind of followed it on. I followed it on the phone on the way home.
I have to admit, I thought Texas was going to try to pull away there, but no, you guys held in there. So
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Well, I mean, the game had already happened once. You know, Georgia kind of really rolled away with it, and I knew it wouldn't be the same the second game. I was like, man, there's no way you're going to beat a team that good twice. You know, like that. And I thought it would be a tough game, and it was. It was a great game, man. It was actually a good game.
I guess that's why they say the saying lightning doesn't strike twice. But unfortunately, this is
Yeah,
an
yeah,
exception.
no, yeah, yeah. I think the first game it was 30 something to. I mean, you know, Texas was pretty anemic in that game, but yeah, this one it went into overtime, so that was good. That was good for football, man.
It was good fights, and they lost
Yes, yes,
honorably. So yeah,
yes, yes.
all right. That's up to the Texas boys nonetheless too. So it'll be nice. So actually, you started to see like some of those like fights that started breaking out during the rivalry week, like mainly what you saw with Michigan and Ohio State, and I think it was Texas and Texas A&M. I guess they also had a little.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're trying to plant the
Georgia,
flags in the field there. Yeah,
yeah. Georgia Tech. Yeah, there's a lot of those.
you know what? I was so confused because I was watching the Georgia Tech game, like how they were doing the overtime. Thinking like, why isn't just Georgia just lining up and just kicking this chip shot extra point to be done with overtime? Because I thought they still could. I thought they didn't start the 2 point conversion to like
Yeah,
third overtime.
no, yeah, it's crazy, right? I was like, man, this game's gonna last forever. Nobody wants to win, you know, or whatever. But finally,
Was a you both won admirably. So yeah,
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that was a crazy game.
that's for sure. But congratulations, Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're going on forward, so we'll see how it goes.
Make sure next year you beat Alabama Crimson Tide. So
Man, that's tough, man. Georgia, that's their kryptonite. That's Georgia's kryptonite. Alabama is.
that's for sure. So we'll see
Yeah,
what happens. But good luck this year in the playoffs. So,
thank you.
but at least you don't have to worry about Alabama in the playoffs this year. So
That's right. So,
big sign of relief.
are you a Penn State fan? What do you?
I really don't mind. I'm mainly in for the entertainment value when it comes to college football.
Yeah,
Though to be fair, my mom, she actually graduated from Pitt, so I like to see Pitt win, but if they lose, I'm just like, it is what it is.
yeah, that's
But,
right. Yeah, you're
but
not
she
gonna
hates
die.
Penn State. Well, she hates Penn State because their coach James Franklin, he quote unquote ripped on Pitt, I guess, whenever they were playing, and she hasn't forgiven him since. So
Oh wow. Okay.
I do have family who had graduated from Penn State, so out of family, I respect both Pitt and Penn State. So
Cool.
I mean, when it comes to SEC, I love watching you boys tear each other out. So yeah,
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
for sure.
It's crazy.
Every week.
Yeah, I'm really a high school football fan. I'm not as much into. I love college and I do watch NFL too, but I'm a high school fan, man. I like to watch high school. I like to watch our local guys. I guess it's the same with bands. You know what I'm saying? I just always like to support local somehow.
If the ones who are not well known, I guess. How is your school? I guess this year they do pretty good.
No, we weren't good this year. We've been national champions in the last decade, though. So yeah, I mean we've had a good team, but yeah, we're a little down this year, but yeah, we'll be back next year. We had a ninth grade quarterback to roll with this year, so that's tough. But
In other words, freshman. So,
yeah, and I don't know how you get to that point. I mean, we had some older kids, but I guess this kid they just were gambling on him. They want him to be good for the next 3 years. So this year was a learning curve. We took it on the chin. We knew we would. I think we made second round of the playoffs. You can get knocked out in the second round, but yeah, so that's good experience for him for next year. So maybe we're better next year.
I mean, we say not pretty good. I mean, like losing season, didn't make playoffs. I mean, you say second round playoffs, that's pretty damn good. Jeez.
Oh yeah, well I mean yeah, but we're used to going really deep. If you're not playing on Thanksgiving Day that week, if you're not playing Thanksgiving weekend, we're not happy here as far as high school. You know what I'm saying? So a coach that's not playing on the Friday after Thanksgiving here more than about 3 years is probably looking for a new job.
I say you guys take your football pretty damn seriously.
Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, congratulations. And I guess good luck next year for your football team.
Yeah, we'll go get them next year. Yeah.
All right. I guess jumping into the next one right here. I guess talk about the gear that you guys use. I guess is it your own personal gear or is this stuff that they provide to you?
So when I started, of course, we had a full studio, and yeah, they had their own gear, and I was able to use all their stuff. But we just started having some, let's call it creative differences that I had with that radio station or whatever, and I decided that I was going to just do my own thing. So I just started picking up my own gear, man. And so yeah, there's not a lot. There's not a lot to my radio station. We'll put it like that. I've got a super nice laptop with a hell of storage on it and a Blue Yeti mic, and that's about it, man.
You always have a catchphrase whenever you start because I think of Robin Williams, the "Good Morning Vietnam."
Yeah. Yeah, I got Mackie headphones. I mean, I don't know. I'm set up decent. I think about $2,500 is what got me started with having my own stuff. So.
That's pretty cool. I guess, do you have a catchphrase you always use whenever you kick off the show?
Not really, man. I'm like I guess not, man. I not really. I mean, I'm like, hey, welcome to the Tuesday Pump Session. This is your boy Jeff T coming at you live, Front Row Radio. That's pretty much that's it, man.
Was that a hip hop? The hip hoppity.
Yeah.
That'll be. Actually, the one radio station I was listening to up here because normally at work we tend to turn on the radio, and normally it's mostly playing your classics, and also since we're in Christmas season, they're unfortunately playing the Mariah Carey, those sorts of songs.
Oh gosh. Oh.
But anyway, this one radio DJ, I mean, I don't know if he was like having some sort of crack cocaine put in his coffee or something or what, but I mean, he was kind of a little crazy talking about some of these little presents that apparently can cause hazardous injuries, that sort of stuff too. Stuff like that G.I. Joe sort of toy that like shoots this rubber rocket out or something.
Yeah.
It was just so weird. Eventually, it gets to that point where it's annoying, but so.
Yeah. I try to not talk a lot on mine, man. I really do. I feel like it should be about the music. I don't talk a ton on my radio show, man. I just don't. I do a quick intro, and I will. I usually don't play one song from a band unless the band only has one song. So I'll play a couple of songs before I talk again. I'll introduce a band, kind of tell where they're from. Like Eden on Fire, I would say, they're from Erie, Pennsylvania, and maybe talk about Amy being my friend for a little while or whatever. And then, here's their new stuff. And bam, I'll play 2 or 3. Here's 3 in a row from Eden on Fire. And, then I'll play those. And I'll see you guys back in like 9 minutes or, whatever, Yeah, I don't talk a ton, man. Not a ton. I want it to be about the music more than about me.
You do get some of those radio stations that tend to like throw in like a sub little interview. They maybe would do like artists. Like we're going back to Ozzy's Boneyard with Billy Morrison. He would be talking with the Ozman, and obviously, of course, you can't really understand Aussie still these days, but
Right.
you think of doing something like that?
I do some interviews from time to time. I have some guest DJs come on or guest hosts at different times. I've got a big show planned for the final show for Front Row Radio, which will be on December the 31st, which is New Year's Eve. I've got a Figo from King Ern. He's from Germany, so he'll already be in 2025, and he's going to co-host that whole show with me. So, yeah, we do things like that different times. Usually I try to spotlight a band or something, you know what I mean? So I would try to get a band, a singer or a musician from one of the bands to come on and help me somehow. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So I guess I guess outside this other radio station, which will still keep anonymous, I guess. What's the plan for 2025?
Yeah, so I've got that going on, and I'm actually already there. I'm already doing some behind the scenes stuff there. I have some management responsibilities at this new station, so I'm actually bringing in the same music that I've had on Front Row all this time. My library of music is getting uploaded to that station. If it's not already there, I'm bringing it in slowly over the next 3 or 4 weeks until we get started over there. So the plan's onward and upward, man.
The big boss, Jeff Tucker, walks in the door.
Right.
So yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
bad motherfucker. So yeah,
it's just man. I mean, these little indie radio stations. There's so many of us out there now. So when I first started doing it, there was not a lot of us doing that, and now there's so many of us that it's like it's saturated. The market's oversaturated now. So more or less, the listeners are kind of torn over where to go. Right? Like if they don't just like me personally, they're going to go to a different radio station. There's plenty of opportunities to listen to indie music now, so they would just listen to another station. So that's kind of why I'm closing mine. I would rather let's join forces with some other more popular DJs and stuff, and let's try to get one big station hitting. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm going. Yeah, I'd rather help somebody else. Let's grow a station. You know.
I would say we formed the Legion of Doom, but I think we're not that sort of evil. We're more the Justice League.
Yeah, but in a way, maybe, yeah, I don't care. We could be the bad guys or whatever, I don't care. We'd be the bad guys playing indie music.
I should do miss watching those old cartoons when it was actually the Legion of Doom and facing off against, obviously, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, all those guys.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I was trying to remember how the theme song went, or at least how everything. I can't remember everything, too, but it's kind of unfortunate, but I'll leave it up to you, so let's go back to the old days. Yeah.
We're getting old, man. We can't remember stuff. You start getting a little older, you start forgetting things.
And you're like, Jesus, I'm old. So, yeah. Yeah, I can understand. So, jump in here to the next one, I guess. How do you use social media, and I guess do you use any sort of AI?
So I'm not using AI, man. I'm not doing it. The station where I'm going has taken to using some a little bit, and so I'm not full on against it, but I don't use it. I haven't used it yet. I'm not running toward that. I think that, I guess in a way I'm using AI. My station has an auto DJ. I guess that's some AI stuff probably happening. I didn't install it. It's just with the platform that I pay for, the server that I'm using or whatever is included with that. So I'm guessing maybe that is some AI involved there, but it's not something I installed. I'm not running toward that. Yeah. Now, what was the other part of it?
I guess how do you use social media, and I guess what social media are you on?
Yeah, social media is like my job, man. I mean, so the radio thing takes me. I do normally around a 2-hour show, live show a week. It takes probably 10 or 12 hours to put that show together during the week. So I spend this weekend. I've put some few hours into it. So to do a 2-hour show, you put 12 hours in probably, but the rest of the time I'm using social media to try to keep myself out there so that people are following me and people see my posts, and so that I can get people to actually come and listen to the show and hear these great artists, man, that I'm playing, so I see social media more as like my job in a way for the radio, I guess, even more so than doing the radio show itself probably.
Because which ones are you on? Are you strictly more Facebook, or do you try to mix it with everyone else?
So, yeah, I'm strange, man. I was on, I did do Twitter for a while, and when it changed to X, I kind of just closed my account there. I do Instagram, but for the longest time, Instagram was like my that was my bodybuilding stuff. So I kind of, and all my radio stuff was on Facebook, and I kind of kept them separate for the longest time. Now they're kind of getting intermingled. So I'm more or less Facebook and Instagram at this point. Yeah.
That'd be cool. I guess you use some Facebook Live.
I haven't done many live. I haven't done any lives hardly on Facebook yet, and the reason why is because if well, we did do some lives. I do a little podcast at times too, but we did some lives when I was doing that. But if I was to do a live while I was doing my radio show, I think people would more tune into the live than they would to my radio station. So then I'm not getting the ad revenue. You know what I mean? But
Yes, how's that work in terms of ad revenue? Do you have to have like 1,000 followers, that sort of deal?
no, I mean, so I use Live 365 as the platform that I use for my radio station, and they do an ad split after you've done 90 days with them. They just split your ad revenue. So whatever amount of hits your station's getting, times the market value of the day, they divide in half with me as a split. So they make half, I make half. And yeah, I mean, it's you know, it just hasn't been, like I say, if I had 5 shows going a week, I could probably do well with it, you know what I mean? Or at least I would do more than break even. At this time, I'm probably doing, and this is kind of why I'm closing it. If for every 3 months, I probably get a month free, if you know, out of ad revenue, probably, you know, so I don't have to pay for 1 month out of every 4, just say.
That's interesting. I guess how'd you find this program too? Is there like a multitude of these?
Yeah, so yeah, there's plenty of choices to go with, and my initial process was I wanted to be as legal as I could. There's a lot of what I call pirate radio out there, and look, I love it. I have no problem with it. There's a lot of indie radio stations out there that have no kind of licensing or anything at all. You know, they just run a station, man, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just I was at that particular juncture in time when I was first getting out there to do it, I was like, man, I want to be as legal as I can. I don't want anything to come back and get me or whatever. So Live 365 actually offers the licensing and stuff that I needed to be able to function without being worried that somebody was going to come get me, or, you know, I was going to get sued or something, you know.
That's good to hear. As soon as you said pirate radio, I think like these guys dressed up as pirates. No Captain
No,
Hook action
just,
going on there.
just people that are, yeah, just more or less. When I say pirate radio, I mean people that are just, you know, they're playing music. They don't really have permission to play, maybe, you know what I mean? And they're just rolling with it. There's nobody enforcing it much, so there's a ton of that. Now that I've been doing it for so long, I'm like, well, I don't know what was stopping me. I was scared to do that. You know, a lot of people are doing it, so I don't know. I was kind of hoping in a way that I could get my bands paid. You know, the people that I play their music, I wanted to be able to get them some streaming pay or whatever, but it turns out that that's really difficult to do because Live 365 is like, well, we can't do indie artists payouts because we would have to write $1 million $3 checks a year. You know what I'm saying? The streaming's just not paying that much for royalties, and so if I can play Motley Crue and stuff like that on my station, and then of course they get paid because they have a big record label that kind of all the money gets directed to them, and then they split it up. So if your indie artists aren't all organized with somebody to collect the money for them and distribute it to them, there's no way to get them paid for radio play. So that's what I've been working on. I've been trying to figure out a way to get our indie artists paid for the spins that I'm doing for them, you know, but it's tough, man. It's a tough business.
Do tell. It would be nice if they could try to change that at some point, but
yeah,
that's
I mean,
a common frustration.
Yeah, it's more or less, the artists have to get together and have one big entity that looks over them, but then all of a sudden they're not indie anymore. See, now there's somebody that they've got to deal with, you see. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy world this music industry is now. It's different than it's ever been.
They'd be like, oh God, they went mainstream. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with going mainstream. I mean, I think that's the dream of everybody's, to make $1 million doing what you love, right? But the reality of it is there's so many of us out here doing it that chances are most of us aren't ever going to do that, you know? So I think everybody's just making music and playing music because they want to, you know?
You'd be right about that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we wanted to cue the Pink Floyd music. Money. So,
Yeah. I mean, everybody wants to, you know, live the dream, man, and of course I want to see everybody live it, but the fact of the matter is everybody's not going to, you know.
I can only do so much. I'm carrying you to
Yes,
the promised land. So yeah,
there's millions of bands out there that are so good, man. I mean, there's millions of them that are so good, but they're just, the labels won't ever pick them up,
exactly. I think sometimes you also run into those who are just like solo artists and they're doing all the instruments. So yeah,
Yeah, and we have a lot of that now too, and there's AI is helping people do that a lot too. So you're getting a lot of AI musicians. I would say that are using, AI is doing half their music, and maybe they play one instrument and sing or whatever, So yeah, there's a lot of that happening right now too. The industry is ever evolving. So
both in a good way and a bad way. But
yeah,
there's actually a post on Facebook, and actually it was definitely an AI sort of cover group or something, whatever it was. And basically, the picture just showed like this fat guy on a donkey just playing a banjo or something. So,
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of artists that are really talented, play all the instruments themselves, record it, lay it over the track, over track, over track, and do their own thing. And then there's other people that are using drum machines and basically AI stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a right or wrong to it at all. If the music's good, I'm listening and playing. That's the way I look at it.
amen to that.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of challenges for you personally, I guess what challenges do you face these days in the radio world?
Man, just time management's my biggest one. When I started the radio station myself and started my own radio station, I had a partner, and when you've got more than one person doing some of the work, it's a little better. And then, of course, that kind of, we didn't make it, but a few months together like that. And yeah, then I ended up kind of with it by myself. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to close this thing. I like what we're doing, so I'm going to keep doing it. And it's nice to not have anybody telling you what to do, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think that keeping people interested, keeping people. I wish that I mean, this radio station would probably keep going if people tuned in to the auto DJ during the week. The same music that I play on my shows on Tuesdays is spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on here. But there's nobody tuning in unless I'm actually on. So yeah, it's just I don't know. I would say that that's the challenge, is keeping people interested and getting people to tune in when there's no DJ on. We don't have an attention span good anymore. People are used to skip. If I don't like this song, skip it, skip it, skip it, or whatever. And you can't skip on my radio station. You're stuck listening to what I'm playing. See, so
So you're gonna sit down, you're gonna like it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody's not always going to love what I'm doing, so it is what it is, man. But you got to keep people interested. You got to keep people. I think people like me. I think people like what I'm doing, and so I've been blessed with that, and I kind of keep trying to cater to that, and I keep a pretty good base of followers and listeners, and so I don't want to change up too much now, I feel like I've been doing it for 3 years. I'm going to kind of stick with what I've got.
You will respect that when you stick to your guns. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it. I'm going to stay a stalwart at it. I'm going to keep playing independent artist music. I don't play any mainstream. I play all indie stuff, and people tune in and listen to it. A lot of times it's the artists themselves and their families, and sometimes people have never heard their stuff on the radio. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool to get to play somebody on the radio for the first time. Yeah, and they hear themselves being played on the radio for the first time. That's pretty awesome, man.
That's for sure. So I would say that's actually a dream of mine too. Was to actually get one of my songs to actually play on the radio, even if it was just one time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Why don't you send it to me, bro?
All right, we'll talk afterwards. So
Yeah.
So I guess moving on here to the next one. I guess what sort of advice would you give to like other people who want to maybe take up something similar in terms of radio?
Yeah. So I would never squash anybody's dreams, of course, but I would say, man, it's more work than you think. You know what I mean? So be prepared to grind if you're actually gonna do, and if doing a radio show is one thing, but if you're gonna try to run a station on top of that, yeah, there's a grind involved in that. There's constantly, I stay buried under about 200 emails a day of bands submitting music, and I have to kind of filter through and pick stuff out, upload it. I'm constantly on my phone, man. If I'm not on social media, I'm checking my emails and stuff, So, but I would say if you have a passion for it, do it, man. There's try it, man. You don't know until you try it.
I would say, have you taken an intern yet, or we have not reached that point yet?
I have and I have not. So I don't know. I guess I wouldn't call it an intern specifically. I've had a couple of DJs work with me, and then I would say that my partner when I first started this radio station, she had never done a live radio show. So I think that maybe I got her trained up to do live radio. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe I wouldn't call it an intern though. We were partners in this thing, but we helped each other in immeasurable ways.
Say Jeff Tucker's class, how to be a radio DJ. So
Yeah, well, just how to do a live thing. You know, yeah, it's a little different if you're doing pre-recorded stuff and doing a live show is a little different. On a live show, you don't get a chance to edit. You know what I mean? So once you've said it, it's gone. It's out there. And if you screw it up, how do you deal with that? You know what I mean? What's your next move? If I screwed it up, how do I fix it? Do I just let it go and hope nobody caught it, or do I? You know what I mean? That kind of deal. That's kind of different for live radio compared to a lot of things.
I'm gonna say normally when it comes to radio, I know it says as soon as it's out there, people are gonna probably hear it. So
Yeah,
I never
yeah,
understood when people like maybe or dropped like a racial slur or maybe said something inappropriate. So I was like,
yeah.
did you not think about what you were gonna say before you actually said it?
I mean, what that tells me a lot of times on people like that is that that's the way they normally talk. You know what I mean? So that's why they get canceled, because if you're slipping that live on the air, you probably would normally talk like that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't know. It's easy to screw up and mispronounce somebody's name or put the wrong band with the wrong song. I mean, I keep a few notes around, but I try to do everything by the seat of my pants because I feel like that's what people are connecting with, you know. So I don't want to be reading a script all the time. Yeah, so I make mistakes, and it's just how you deal with those when you move forward, you know.
Like one of those things to be like, this next song is this one right here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which I, yeah, I do keep a few notes. I can't remember everything about every band and stuff. So, but my DJ program, of course, has a set list, and I'm sitting here looking at the songs. I kind of drag them into place, so I know which song's coming next and what titles with it and everything. So that part's not hard, but pronouncing the names and sometimes you just make mistakes, man. And it's how you fumble through it. You know, if you fix it right away or if you come back, fix how you deal with it. You know, I'm pretty self-deprecating, so if I screw up, I usually own it right away. I'm like, oh well, I just screwed that up. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just go ahead and own it. You know.
Then I think the worst thing is getting yourself in a tizzy, be like, oh man, now I feel like a piece of shit or that deal.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's why I mean I try to make a funny out of it. If I screwed something up, I'm gonna try to be funny about it and let's just roll. You know. Yeah. Well, I just screwed that up. You know. So here we go.
Anyway, here we go. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Right.
You gotta own it. And then, I mean, if I screwed up, I want everybody to know. I know I screwed up. I just screwed that up. But here we go. Yeah,
We're radio and musicians. Remember, we improvise. So
yeah, that's what you got to do.
very much. All right. Well, thank you so much for what you do there, Jeff. It does really mean a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun, man. I love doing it. It's fun, man. Yeah,
At the end of the day, that's all it has to be. You
that's
do any
it.
job you
Yeah.
want. So yeah.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So Jeff, we briefed for the questions here pretty good. So here, let's jump into some fun ones. Ready?
Okay.
I'm actually curious what it's like in the deeper parts of Georgia in terms of food wise. So also, about the Southern hospitality. Uh, so what would you say is currently your favorite food?
Oh, my favorite food, man. Well, you're asking me a crazy question because I'm a bodybuilder, so I eat really specifically. You know what I mean? I love fried chicken, man. I love pizza, but I kind of stay away from it. I eat a lot of grilled food, man. Grilled chicken, fish. I love seafood. I would say my favorite food is probably seafood, but
We're close to the sea too. The Gulf
yeah,
Coast,
yeah.
so
I mean, yeah, and I can go fishing, and within an hour, hour and a half, I could be on the saltwater fishing or something, you know. So I love saltwater fish. Yeah.
Do you do any hunting outside and fishing too?
I do not. I do fish. I fish off a kayak though. I don't have a motorized boat. I try to, like I say, I try to stay healthy. So I go kayaking and I fish off the Gulf in a kayak, man. Try to catch some fish, come back home, cook, and eat.
I was like, would a kayak be a bad idea? Because there's not really much space. I think a boat would be easier because otherwise you're like,
Yeah. Well, it would definitely be easier. I have a nice kayak. My kayak you can stand up in. I mean, it's a 12-foot long kayak. They're designed specifically for fishing, so you're kind of instead of sitting down in it like you can imagine the kind you see on the rivers and stuff doing whitewater stuff. This is not like that. This has got a fighting chair. You sit up. I can stand up on it and stuff. So
Is there any
it's
sort
not
of
a
cussing
stand.
involved when it comes to
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
really into fish?
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid. Type of kayak. It's part paddleboard, part kayak. I think is what they're terming it. It's designed specifically for fishing, like I do. So
Hmm. I wasn't sure if there's any cussing or anything else when it comes to reeling in the fish. Be like, it's a fighter,
yeah,
man.
yeah. No, it's fun. I mean, it can be fun. You get drug around in the ocean by a big fish. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Just don't get dragged underneath the
Yeah,
water. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I have turned over before in the ocean and had to swim. Yeah, that happens.
that was it's scary. Jeez. I think my days of fishing would be over after that. So
Yeah, it's happened to me one time. These boats are pretty sturdy, so they don't fall over real easy. But I just made a mistake and got dunked. I had a bigger boat come by, and of course they're creating a wave, and I was leaning over and getting a fish out of the water about the same time that the boat comes by, and it kind of rocks me, and it just flipped me right over, man. Yep. And I was in 6 foot of water. I'm in 6 foot deep water, and I'm only 6 foot tall. So yeah, I was like bouncing off the bottom, trying to figure out where all my stuff's at.
like, where's all my shit at? So yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
I
do.
see my tackle box floating that way, and my cooler with fish in it's going the other way, and but I got it all together.
Fortunately. Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
I survived.
I will survive. So yeah, there, there enough. Okay, for the next one right here, what would you say is currently your favorite movie? And I know TV series have kind of really taken off, so if you have a favorite one, go ahead.
Oh man, yeah, I don't watch a ton of TV, man. I would say we were talking about it earlier. The Walking Dead was a favorite back when I was more watching TV. Since I started doing radio, I don't have time to watch TV, man. So I mean, literally, radio takes up a ton of my time. But uh, yeah, my favorite movie is probably pretty old. The Lost Boys, man. It's a vampire flick. Yeah, I don't know if you know that movie or not, but yeah, that's probably my favorite movie of all time.
It sounds familiar, but I would have thought Peter Pan, to be honest, whenever you
Yeah,
say that.
yeah. No, the Lost Boys. I was trying to think. It's got Kiefer Sutherland on there, Corey Haim. It's an older. I think it come out in the '80s, but may have been in the '90s. It's a vampire flick. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, man. It's a great vampire movie if you like that kind of stuff.
I'll have to see. Maybe I should have put it on a Halloween list, to be honest, too, but
Yeah,
I've kind of fallen behind on my TV as well, so you're not the only
yeah.
one.
I mean, yeah, you get busy, especially doing music and stuff, doing radio. Yeah, I just don't have time between the gym and radio, man. And regular job, man. I'm filled up.
Yeah, that's a reward for after a good day's work, and we wanted to
Yeah.
try it that way. So,
I would say also going to shows. I mean, that's a part of doing radio too. Is you kind of got to get yourself out there, right? So one of my things is public appearance. I go to a lot of local bands and see them play. I've got a lot of I try to go to a lot of shows. So that's a big part of it too. So all that takes up time.
because would you consider doing like interviews behind the stage if you wanted to?
Oh yeah, I would. I have not done much of that yet, and I'm pretty mobile. My radio station's like I say, a laptop and a mic. I've actually taken it to a friend's house, and we've done radio from Dothan, Alabama, a few times. So yeah, I could pretty much set up anywhere and do radio, do some interviews. I can record my shows and that kind of stuff, But I just don't do a ton of that. I prefer the live thing. So
All right, fair enough. All right. For the next one right here, I know you talked about breweries earlier. So, what's your favorite alcoholic drink, and then what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
okay, so man, I drink water. It's non-alcoholic, man. I drink water. I'm constant drinking water. I'm a health nut, so I try to stay on the H2O, man, like the water boy. But yeah. So I was into beer for a while, man. But I would say that my go-to when I go out is probably boring white girl drink, man. It's like a vodka and man. Cranberry and vodka. The bartender can't really mess that up. So
I mean, it's just two concoctions to mix together.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so it's hard to mess that drink up. If you start getting too crazy on drinks, they mess them up. Yeah, I will drink some beers. I'm a craft beer drinker, so I will drink some craft beers too. And I don't have a specific one that's my favorite. I like to try different ones, you know. So I'm a beer tourist. When I go to other towns and other states, I check out their breweries. That kind of gives me a pulse of the community a lot of times. So
So turning into a beer connoisseur, I think was the correct
yeah,
term. So yeah,
yeah, and I figure that you learn. A lot of musicians are hanging at breweries. I mean, that's how I got hooked up with so many musicians. Man, is going to breweries. That's where a lot of the same like-minded people kind of hang out. So yeah, I would say that I'll drink some beers, usually an IPA. It doesn't matter, but I'll drink some IPAs.
actually, was a band I interviewed called Destroy the Planet, and they actually did their music video based in a brewery up in their neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I've been a part of a couple of music videos were filmed over there too. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of bands do that. That's what I'm saying. So that's why it's a good place to hang. Breweries are a good place to hang. You meet a lot of musicians there. Usually breweries are centered around music. They have some music there a lot of times. It's usually acoustic kind of sets or whatever, but a lot of these musicians are in multiple bands. So somebody that's doing an acoustic country set at the corner of a brewery might be singing some death metal with another band later on that night, you know?
That is true. I would say, I think you could tell in some of the shots in the music video, the lead singer's like, please, can this just be over already? So, yeah. I guess it was getting hot in there, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
so great video. And shout out to Destroy the Planet, by the way. So, and for the last of the fun questions right here, this one's probably going to put you on the spot since you're a Radiohead, but what would you say is your favorite song? And if you, whichever one you like from the indie community, both in terms of mainstream and the indie community, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you got me on that one. Okay, so I'm always morphing a little bit. The indie music, I'm always morphing a little bit. Man, right now there's a couple of bands that I'm really digging pretty heavily. So I'll shout out a couple of bands. Maybe Sweet Meteor of Death is from Atlanta. They're like a rockabilly kind of band. They're fantastic, man. As far as which song of theirs I love the most, that's a good one, man. I would have to think on that a little bit, but then there's a band out of Las Vegas, Nevada called Scarlet Silhouette, and yeah, I love them. They're a metal band. They have a couple of great songs out right now too. But I would say A Healing Embrace is probably one of my favorites from them. Mainstream, oh man. I was always like really a grunge type of person, so probably Nirvana, maybe something in the Nirvana realm would probably be some of my favorite music from mainstream.
They come as you are. So yeah,
Yeah, man. The '90s was in my wheelhouse for mainstream music. I've just always been strange. I never really had one favorite, man. I mean, I listened to Black Sabbath all the way to Pink Floyd to, man, even Johnny Cash. I mean, just I'm all over the place, man. I grew up with all different types of music, so that's why my radio show kind of reflects that too. I don't stick with one genre. My radio show is pretty cross genre,
that's pretty good to say the least. I think in some cases, I would say normally when it comes to radio stations, like normally one's like for alternative, and then all these boneyards playing all the classic
Yeah,
rock
yeah.
ones. So yeah,
Right, yeah. And mine, I mix it up. I mean, you may hear I don't give you whiplash. I try. That's why I spend so much time putting a show together. I may do some pop early in my show, and I usually get my show harder as the show goes on. So I'm probably gonna end with something heavy metal toward the end, But I even have a avant-garde uh, pianist composer that opened my show with now. So
yeah. Hey, it's good to mix it up every now and again. So
yeah, yeah.
all right. Sounds good, Jeff. All right. So Jeff, we're down to one more question in my podcast right here, but I guess before we jump into it, would you like to ask me anything or say any final words before we jump into it?
Oh no, man. I just would like to tell you, man. I appreciate you, brother. I mean, yeah. I appreciate you reaching out to me and asking me to come on here for sure, man. And like I say, anytime that I get the chance to do something like this, I will, because the more you get yourself out there, the more that I can help my bands get out there. The more ears that we're getting to, the more people that seeing us, the better it is for everybody in our circuit and our orbit, kind of like. So definitely appreciate the opportunity, man. It's been awesome.
No worries. Actually, I think the person who had to drop out at the last second, so it opened up that slot right there. So
That's right.
it all worked out. So all right. But there's nothing else. Here's how it goes. So given what COVID has done, obviously you're pretty blessed in your family. I know you said you lost some friends along the way there too. So I'm sorry to hear that. But for those musicians, people, and even radio DJs, for instance, who've been impacted by COVID or anything else in their lives, like an addiction, what sort of message of hope could you give to those people as they try to move forward with their lives?
Oh man, so you're never defined by a negative, right? I don't feel like you're defined by a negative. You're defined on how you react to it and how you handle it. So yeah, anything negative that's happening to us in our life, whether it be addiction or COVID or the death of somebody close to us or whatever, I take your moment, you find your center, you know what I mean, and come back out of it, and come out and try to do better. I mean, there's nothing negative that will define you forever. You should never let it be that. There's always going to be a good come out of it. Where there's dark, there's light. There's always light. So you just got to look toward that and start coming out of it, man. That's my pretty much mantra in everything.
Spoken like a true prodigy. Hey. Does they got to get into the sort of duality sort of aspect right there, or the yin yang as they would call it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. I mean, anywhere there's darkness, there's light. Without light, there's no darkness. I mean, they come together. So you just have to learn how to function and maneuver and try to stay in the light side of it. Always be looking toward that side. Some people like the dark side, so I'm not hating on them either, but don't let negative define you. Don't let what's negative happen to you. Anything that's happened to you bad, don't let that be your definition. Don't let that be your forever. You can come out of that. You can leave it behind.
It becomes your strength.
It should. It really should. It really should. Yeah.
Well, the dark side of the force could be pretty fun at times, so maybe we should jump in and get some red lightsabers.
While we're talking about it, I mean, Darth Vader was cool, man. He was one of my favorites. But so,
I find your lack of faith disturbing. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I accept both. I accept that there's going to be some darkness at times, but I just don't want that to define me. I don't want that to define me. So that would be my hope for other people too. Try not to let the darkness or what's bad happen to you be your definition. Find the good out of it.
That's for sure. All right. So, Jeff, we reached the end of my podcast right here. We just talked a little over an hour right now, but if you got any final words, want to give any shout outs before we close?
No, man, I appreciate the heck out of you, man. And of course, I would advertise, I would plug my radio station, man, but it's going away at the end of the month anyway. So, I will say, I said I would drop a little hint maybe. So things are going to be getting hot in January. That's the only hint that I'm going to drop. That's the only hint that you get.
This is a Hot Wheels, but unfortunately that was my childhood right there. So, just for the audience sake, can you just list what social media, and I guess, are you on any sort of streaming in order to help promote your radio?
I am not, man. I have my own podcast. It's only been going for a little while. It's called Sound Bites Podcast. It's on YouTube. We pretty much just review indie music videos, and so it's myself and Scarlett Morningstar from Scarlett Silhouette in Vegas over there, and we've had a few weeks off now. We're getting ready to get back kicked off in that, but other than that, man, you can just find me on Facebook as Jeff T, man.
Jeff T. So yep. I like it.
Jeff Tucker. That's me.
Yep. All right. So the calls are like this. Everyone, I had a special guest today, and Jeff Tucker, aka Jeff T, came on right here. He's a radio DJ hailing from the deep south of Georgia right there. Not too far from the Florida coast, we should say. So can't really spoil too much, but I guess keep an eye out on the socials for anything he's got planned going on, especially going into next year. So be interesting to see what he's got. So I guess normally, when you take any sort of requests, do they always send it through email, or they just drop it in the chat or something?
Any way you want to. Any way that you can figure out how to contact me. DMs on Facebook, Instagram, text, email, however. Any way you want to get a hold of me, man. Yeah, I'm pretty well open. And requests, shout outs, that kind of stuff. I'm always glad to do it.
All right. You heard from the man right here too. So Jeff, God bless you, mate. Stay safe out there because it is a crazy world.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
And stay tuned, y'all.